Boa noite a todos. Welcome back to Tom Plays Europa Universalis 4 for absolute beginners. We are back with Portugal and about to take a bit of a risk because we basically have some rebellions coming that we are going to need our armies to deal with. But we're also on low crown land and we're taking some serious hits from that. So I'm thinking, let's seize the land. So I'm just going to get our army a little more central. Have a feeling this is all going to be a question of dealing with the aftermath of the massive conquest we just had. Right, we need to get this out of the way as soon as possible. So, not that one. Seize land. This will hopefully give us a greater share of this and might get rid of these disadvantages. We will see. But may lead to a rebellion. There it is. Okay, so that's good. They've appeared in the best place possible. I think we technically have a castle here, even though our forts are mothballed, simply because it's our capital city. We have a better general and a larger army, so I think we have got away with that. Unfortunately, we still have low crown land, so we're going to need to do it one more time once the loyalty is recovered a little. But at least we've made some progress. However, we now immediately need to get back over here, because we've got these rebellions coming. So the first one could appear anywhere. It's only 13,000 people, so with our good general we should be able to cope with it. We'd better unmothball this fort though, at risk of costing us money, because we don't want them taking this fort, and also if we're lucky enough to have them rise up there, that will give us a big advantage, but we really need to get our army back over. The problem is we're going to have to split them. Now we could ask for military access from Castile. I'm basically gambling on us being able to get the army over sooner. Why have I split in half? I don't need to split in half this time. I can just tell them to attach to the transport. I'm going to take them to a place that has the fort already, just in case. So it's a bit of a race against time to get the army over there before the rebellion happens. We could take advantage of this option for harsh treatment, which would slow the rebellion down. Too late. Never mind. Not a problem. So they've appeared down here. They've got a worse general than us. On the plus side, that's their maximum size. Whereas we should be recovering all the time. I'm just wondering about putting an army here because the rivers make it quite defensible. Obviously there's a danger they'll go in the other direction, but problem is they have rivers as well, so I'm not very inclined to attack them, which is unfortunate because when they take this province, I think they'll give it some separatism for 10 years, which will make it more likely to rebel again. But this is the price we pay for taking all this land at once. Okay. Let's combine these armies. So we're going to sit here for now. If they come here, I think we will beat them. Although I wouldn't mind getting this last bit of the army over. Attach to transport. Head directly down. On the other hand, they may choose to go in the other direction and start taking these lands, in which case I guess we're probably going to follow them. That will be unfortunate because they'll probably end up mopping up all the lands. I suppose we'll have a choice between just following them and letting them make separatism in every land along here, or going straight in to attack them, which will make them the defender and give them an advantage. A Of course, if we do go the mopping up route, although we get all the separatism, our army will be recovering all the time as our manpower recovers naturally. It just means we're a lot more likely to get rebellions all along here, whereas at the moment it's limited to this one province. We just have to see what they do. Okay, how are we doing money-wise? We are not doing badly money-wise, really. I'm pleasantly surprised. I'm just wondering if it's worth seeing if there are any decent... I see, that would be so tempting. Production efficiency. I mean, that will give us more money as well as more admin power. I suppose we can try it, at least until we start losing money. So production efficiency is generally better later in the game. It's more related to trade. We would have been better off with tax given the option at the moment. Oh, they're coming for us. Brilliant. That's good. Hopefully we can end this here and now. But I'm also conscious that coring all these provinces has sucked up a lot of our admin power, which we really desperately need so we can start the colonising. So having an advisor that gives us extra admin power is pretty essential, because we do need to core these provinces. We can't leave them. And we're just going to have even more unrest and even more problems. So you see, because they've attacked us here in a nice defensible position with lots of rivers, we've defeated them quite handily, so we can now go out and retake this province without any issues. If you remember, these little bars are the process of coring the provinces. I'm expecting our issues with rebellions to go down immensely once these finish, and we should start off any additional ones we can once the admin power becomes available. I think there's only 2 that we haven't been able to do yet. And we can also mothball this fort again, because we're no longer about to have a rebellion. We'll get an alert if we're about to have one. That's where we're up to. So yeah, I'm hoping this one will start going down, because Portuguese peasants has 19,000, which is rather more than our army can cope with. So yeah, I might even do the harsh treatment if necessary. We do have the option to actually accept demands with the Portuguese peasants, because they want more local autonomy, which is bad. It means we'll get less taxes and such like from every state they're asking about, but at the same time it's not the end of the world. It's not a problem like separatism would be, where we'd lose all the countries we fought so hard for. Okay, so you should probably... Well, actually, I'm wondering if we should go back across the sea again, simply because our next likely unrest seems to be there. I think this is all provinces that we originally owned, rather than any of the Moroccan provinces. So we should probably have our army back there, just in case it does fire. Very tempted towards a harsh treatment, to be honest. I'm not generally a fan of it, because it only holds up the rebellion. But in this case, as we're in the process of coring all these provinces, holding up the rebellion is exactly what we need. I'll wait for the little red alert to appear, at least. So I'm expecting us to have Moroccan separatism again, but it's temporarily been buried. It's generally better to actually let it happen and put it down with an army, rather than try to use harsh treatment or whatever to try and prevent it, or even move the army to the affected province and prevent it. Like this one here will only appear in this one province. In theory, having an army there would make it less likely to appear, but in a lot of ways the problem is it would always be there. So if we ever got embroiled in any other war, it would probably then happen while the army was away at the worst time. So generally I'd suggest that you keep the army in the province next door, let it fire and then instantly go in and wipe them out, especially because they're only 7k. Okay, so here's a proposal. Right, this is interesting. Normally I wouldn't go for this. Nobility loses 10 loyalty. Now the nobility has lower loyalty, but I have to say I think that the stability would be more valuable anyway. I don't really like messing with the clergy, so let's go with that. That might even... No, it hasn't. I was hoping it might start this going down. I think it greys out when it starts going down again, but it's still coming up. But nonetheless, I don't think the extra stability will do us any harm. Unfortunately, it does mean that the nobility have been given a larger chunk of... Oh no, it doesn't. No, it means the clergy have. Well, that's good, because that balances out the nobility and the clergy a bit again. So I do want to give the burghers some more land, but I also need to seize crown land again. I suppose we could do the thing with the burghers if... Does it increase loyalty? It doesn't, it reduces loyalty, so that's not a good idea. It's unfortunate the clergy were the most loyal of the lot at the time. Papal emissary. I do think that's worth having actually. But we need 20 papal influence to do it. And it'd probably be better after we've just seized lands, because the clergy's loyalty is pretty good at the moment. I don't know if I mentioned, but these loyalty figures, which are pretty important with the estates, will slowly go down to what they call the sort of base level. So clergy is currently 30, the base level itself can change. Nobility is 30, burghers is 30, so I think those are probably the... Oh no, sorry, no, it's the equilibrium level, isn't it? Sorry, so the clergy is currently 35.50, so that's going to go down over time. Nobility is quite high, 44.40. So that will go up, of course, and the burghers is 36.50. So these two will recover and the clergy will lose loyalty as time goes on. So we'll want them to recover as much as possible and then seize crown land again. Okay, let's move you towards Lisboa, so that makes you a bit more central. I think we can now make some more cores. Wondering about Tetuan. Apologies for the terrible pronunciation. But I'm wondering if it might actually make them more likely to rebel. Might make this climb higher if we start coring the province. So maybe we should do that one last, because hopefully the rebellion in general will go down. I really could do with some of these cores finishing. Right, so we've actually got the option to invest in a new diplomatic technology, marketplaces. We could have saved that for our national ideas, which we'll get into eventually once our admin power recovers. But to be honest, it's probably going to take so long for that to happen that it's probably not worth it. So yes, let's speed things up a bit, tentatively. So we've also got the Renaissance gradually making headway across the lands. We've got enough money now to build a building, but I'm not going to. Ah, cool. Got a diplomat back. Because I want to wait until we can hold a diet, because they sometimes suggest building buildings, so we may as well build the building they suggest and gain the extra loyalty. Okay, so we've got all our things back. The peasants are much closer to rebelling, so I'm going to harsh treatment them. So that costs, I think, 30 military power. Oh no, it costs way more than that. Lots of military power. Okay. It reduces the percentage by 30. Well, it seems to have gone down by 40. No, I'm looking at the wrong one. Reduce it by 30%. So this may immediately go back up. So it may have been a total waste of time. I'm just hoping it will hold up the rebellion long enough for these to hit and maybe stop it happening altogether. And if not, it will at least give us more time to recover manpower. It's entirely why I used it, even though it's a shocking waste of military power. But again, I'm hoping that we won't have any wars now for a good long time. Certainly not any wars against anyone who's a technological equal. More like colonial wars. The rebellions, I think, tend to have the same technology as you, so it doesn't matter what our military tech is. So unusually I'm not as worried about falling behind in military technology, because we're basically being protected by Castile most of the time. Not all the time, obviously there's these lands, but yeah, I'm hoping if we can get rid of all of these, our unrest will go down. But you see, this has already almost completely gone back up, which is why harsh treatment is usually just not worth it. There we are, it's back. Right, I'm going to do it again. It feels like a tremendous waste of military power. It's just we're so close to these actually finishing. I have a horrible feeling I might have to do it a third time. Actually, we can probably do Tetuan now as well. I'm not going to hold off on it forever. I mean, if the Portuguese rebellion's dealt with... this has gone down to 12k now. Excellent. And there are only 5 provinces it's likely to appear in. Right, that's not so bad. We can afford to let that fire. Okay, so we've finished the coring, which is brilliant. So now we actually would probably like the peasant rebellion to fire. What have we got? Career, okay, rising star. So this is someone who may cause problems because he's Sunni Muslim, and unfortunately we're not going to be able to make use of him, I imagine. I think he'll be too expensive for us. So even though... oh no, we do need the prestige, so let's just take the extra prestige by not letting him have high office. You see our overextension has gone down now, which has helped a lot with unrest and such like. War exhaustion is coming down all the time, which will also help with unrest. So hopefully the peasant rebellion will fire soon, we can put that down, and then we can move the army over here to deal with the separatists. And all the time these are being cored, and our army is recovering. But yeah, oh brilliant. So it looks like as we core provinces, the number of peasants rebelling goes down. I think because the number of provinces involved is reducing. So it should be very manageable now. Oh, alright, let's just pause. Here it comes. Send the army to deal with it. It'd be nice if we could get there before they actually take the province, which I think we can. It's kind of why I paused it. So that's good. That should see the end of peasant rebellions for some time to come. So now we're going to need the army over here. Move into the area of the fort first. An interesting one, because arguably once this is cored, maybe the rebellion wouldn't happen again. So it might be worth having the army there to prevent it rather than letting it fire, but at the same time it's got quite advanced to being on 60. Bogomolist heretics. Interesting. Okay, only down as 8,000 though, so not too worried. Okay, we have enough government reform progress to enact a reform. So this is another one that's new. The Austria patch. So I think which one are we on? This one. So we can either strengthen noble privileges, which will give us better national manpower, or we can curtail noble privileges. Oh, cool. Unrest for Morocco. Nice, they go into war. I approve. Makes us less likely to have to deal with them. Curtail noble privileges gives us more tax. That is far more important. So we basically got this score, government reform, and we needed 100 to make a reform. Sorry, it's not called government reform, is it? Reform progress. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm definitely going to curtail noble privileges, thanks. We need the tax. Plus the nobility tends to be too powerful anyway. Sus wants military access. Yes, please do. I am happy to let you all fight each other. Oh yeah. Really could do with one more ship. There's always this one, like, 1,000 troops left behind. But it's fine. Oh! Oh no. No, it hasn't gone down. I think it's slowed down enormously, but it hasn't actually gone down. So, fair enough. Let's just take the last bit of the army over, so they're all ready. Right, so we've got this new one for making states. This basically happens as you core provinces. And generally it's a good idea. There's certain colonial situations in which you don't want to do it. The problem is that as well as making them, you then have to core them all over again. Doesn't take time this time, it's instant, but on the other hand I do believe it makes it more certainly a part of your country, which is what we want. I'm looking to keep these for the long term, so even though once again it's knocked our administrative power down and ensured Castile's going to get way ahead of us in colonising, on the plus side, it does put us in a much sounder financial position for when we do start colonising, if we can make these countries as much a part of us as possible. That in mind, let's just have a look at the government screen. So that's on the shield, second one across. Now we've got an option, and I don't know if you remember me saying, but in some ways one of the advantages of Portugal is, to start with at least, they're very heavily integrated. They've got a single culture, Portuguese, and yeah, not the same problem a lot of countries have, where they're made up of lots of different peoples. However, now we have a sizable Moroccan presence, small Berber presence, sizable Moroccan, and we got the option from the beginning to promote two cultures, which will help enormously with making them feel like they're Portuguese. So I don't think there's any good reason not to do this. It's going to cost us diplomatic power, but that's fine. It will have time to recover by the time we eventually get national ideas. So that should also help us quite a bit with the unrest. So brilliant. It's also made them sufficiently well disposed towards us that we've got the option now to convert provinces to Catholic. It's difficult. I mean, it's not too expensive on the plus side, but it will take a long time. These are months, and some of the provinces can't be done at all, so you can pay to send a missionary, but there would be no point. But I think Abda would be a very good option here. It's very cheap, so cheap even we could afford it. Actually, we've got quite a bit of money right now. I wonder if we should think of one of the bigger ones. But then Abda's also the fastest, so let's go with Abda. So there's more danger, I think, of a religious uprising. He may get Sunni fanatics, so we might need the army, but we currently have the army on this continent anyway. And it will help with religious unity, which at the moment is on 65%, which has these issues. So again, it's about stability, unrest, that sort of thing, corruption. So it's worth sending some missionaries. So yeah, we'll just leave them to it. It's just a question of affording them because they do cost money. Morocco is spying on us, that's not surprising. Although it looks like Sousse is doing quite well, which is good because I don't think Sousse has got the same reason to dislike us. I think we took all our territories from Morocco and Marrakesh. So Sousse must have broken free. I'm sure Morocco used to be their overlord. Unless we forced that to happen and I've forgotten. Okay, so Tetuan separatists, that's fine. They can rise up and we will immediately put them down. Right, so we've got handy move to the estates button on this alert. I want to summon the Diet again. So the estates of Portugal have proposed agendas. Clergy want us to invest in the prosperity of their lands. That will take admin power, so it's not ideal. Nobility is worried about manpower. Want to allow our reserves to recover. Well, I mean, we are going to do that, so I do thoroughly agree with that, so it is an option. But at the same time, it's going to take a while because we're having to put down rebellions. So I'm slightly worried that we won't do it in time, even though I've no intention of intentionally having any wars. Debatable. The burghers claim that the marketplace port is too small. Now this is probably a building. They want us to build a market. Now that to me is well worth doing. So we need to build a marketplace in Porto. I am well up for that. So let's do it. So what will that give us? It'll give us base production in Porto and it will increase the burghers' loyalty, which is also well worth doing. Might put us in a better position. So we have enough money to build a building already. Siena has joined the Holy Roman Empire. Lovely. So our marketplace are up here, they help with trade. You can see there's quite an advantage to building it anyway from the green thing. It's the second best place to build a marketplace after Lisboa, our capital. So that is going to help us enormously. We probably wanted to do it anyway. And because we're doing it at the burghers' suggestion, it's going to improve their loyalty, which will help us a little when we go to see some crown lands again. Might also be a good time to enact the land of commerce, even though it's going to cost us crown land again and some loyalty, but their loyalty seems to have recovered quite well. And this gives us more diplomatic power every month for as long as we have it. So yeah, I think that's well worth having. There's an equivalent for the nobility, but I don't think we need military power as much as Portugal, although it'd be nice to have. And also, the nobility already start with a lot of land, so I'm a little reluctant to give it them, whereas now they're a bit more even. The burghers and nobility and the clergy are a bit more of an even footing, and we just really need to seize land from all three. So, as soon as we're in a clear spot for rebellions, I think we're going to go back and do that, because the loyalty's recovered quite a bit. Getting quite close to equilibrium again. And rebellions are likely to happen over here, so we'll take the army back. But we need the Tetuan uprising to fire again. Looks like the heretics have changed their minds as our stability's increased. So that's good. Incidentally, you can see the little missionary here, working away down in Abda. That's his little bar. So yeah, we'll also gain some papal influence for every province that we convert to Catholic. Finish coring. Just going to speed up time again. So yeah, it's generally well worth doing. It's all about bringing the country together, really. Now, there's alternative ways to bring the country together, to be fair. We need to combine these armies. I'm glad this general's surviving all this time. Earl of Avranches. I think we started with him. I don't think we'll get a general as good as this for a while. But yeah, we basically just want all of these nations to feel like they're Portuguese. And if you can convert them to majority Roman Catholic, then that only helps. We'll also want to develop them, I think, but I imagine we'll do that through the diets that we call. There we go. So we've successfully put them down. So let's move our army across to the mainland, and possibly the last thing we will do will be to seize lands. Right, how are we doing in terms of budget? We're actually doing amazingly well. I'm thinking we should look at advisors again. Okay, so missionary strength will be useful because that would make this happen faster, but prestige tends to be invaluable and you lose it very quickly nowadays. So I think we should go for this guy. We can only do +1s really, because they're cheaper. But yeah, I think the yearly prestige will be worth having. You do get a lot of benefits from prestige. If you look at all these green bits, effects from our current prestige, the higher we can get that, the better. If you look at trade, okay, trade efficiency, I should say diplomatic reputation is in some ways the best. It's the equivalent of prestige, but that's a +2, and trade efficiency gives us money. Let's go with that one. Military, not as keen on. Land maintenance modifier would be good because it would save us money. That's how much it costs to maintain your armies, but it's going to be too expensive. These two I don't think we really need because we're not planning any wars, so let's leave it at that. So that's reduced our money a bit, although the trade advisor will have helped, but it also means we're now getting an additional administrative and diplomatic point every month, on top of the additional ones we're getting from the estate things we did. So yeah, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. We just need to get rid of this low crown lands problem, and then I think we'll be in good shape, and we can just start looking forward to gaining national ideas, getting back to exploring, and trying to play catch up with Castile. I haven't seen them colonise anywhere yet. I mean, they will have had to spend some of their admin power on these 3 provinces, but it obviously doesn't compare to the amount we've had to deal with. They will still be wanting to take the rest of Granada as well, so maybe that'll hold them up slightly. If they ask us to join in that war, we'll certainly join in. Probably join in with Castile's wars anyway, even if we can't really defend ourselves and it means losing land, but we'll see. The problem is sometimes if you don't join in wars, it just breaks the alliance, and we really want to stay as friendly as possible with Castile. Speaking of, we really ought to be sending diplomats out to improve relations with various countries. France still hasn't attacked Brittany, have they? I'm sure they're going to, though. I don't feel safe having an alliance with them, much as I'd love to. Because they're also someone who, in theory, if he ever didn't have an heir, we could realistically take out. Oh my goodness, Castile doesn't have an heir. Yeah, very unlikely that we'll get a personal union over Castile, unfortunately. The king's only 33 years old. Realistically, it's probably not going to happen. We do have a royal marriage with him, which is why it shows up in green on that list. Okay, poor vintage. This is just a negative thing. We've lost a little bit of prestige. Can't be helped. These things happen. Once we finish coring the land, we should actually have a look at the size of our military again, because we could probably build a larger military, which would be extremely useful for colonising, but would also be extremely expensive and will reduce our money again. So in some ways it's not a bad thing that I'm dragging my heels about doing that. Well, it might be useful for seizing Crown Land, come to think of it. So maybe we should just try and increase the bit anyway. It's actually not that big a difference. Okay. Can we build guns? Yeah, we probably can't, can we? No. And we don't have any manpower, so it's a moot issue anyway. We can't actually build more military anyway until our manpower recovers, which is fine. Nearly there. That's good. That is good. We might be able to build another little trade fleet though. And we could also possibly do with some more in our main navy. So maybe let's do that. I'm going to build a heavy ship and 3 more transports. So that's done a bit of a number on our finances, but amazingly we can actually afford it at the moment. Okay, I think we need to seize the Crown lands. That's probably going to be the last thing. Oh, we can't. Yet. In a couple of months. Oh, brilliant. We finished building the marketplace. So we completed the estate agenda. So that's given us an extra 10 loyalty and 1 base production. So Porto has become more effective. Sometimes when you have states, when you click on the province, you get the state instead. So you have to actually click on the province name. But basically this would have been 7, 7 and 5. And this has gone up to 8, which is brilliant. And it's actually will have given them an extra building slot because these go up in units of 10. Oh no, I'm wrong. Apparently it hasn't given us an extra building slot. Apparently that would have been 21 development. Fair enough. Never mind, so they've got a church and the marketplace. That's good. It's all good. So I think it was October, but just in case it's late October, let's just head to November. Discovered a spy from Morocco again. They're determinedly trying to spy on us. Can't really blame them. Right, so we're going to seize Crown land again. Army's all cohesive. Good, good. Yep, I know. Madeira. Okay, that's unfortunate. However, it's extremely small. So we can do it with the navy we have. So Madeira is one of our island provinces. But they've only got 2,000 people. These are Portuguese particularists. I think they might be the burghers, effectively. They basically want a bit more autonomy. So they're often one of the more benign rebellions because you can get away with just accepting their demands if necessary. But seeing as there's only 2,000 of them, I'm guessing that's because they've risen up in Madeira, which is one of the islands, so probably not as heavily populated. Unfortunately, they have taken control. It's given Madeira more autonomy, so we'll get less taxes. Oh, and also we can't land, so we'll now have to do transport. But in exchange for seizing Crown land, I think it's probably worth it. Unfortunately, we still don't have enough, so we're going to have to do that one more time. So we just keep this army here until this black shading goes away and we've retaken Madeira. There we go, and we reboard the ships and head back to the mainland. Okay. Right, so the Crown land's fairly balanced now, and we now have 24.128%. Yeah, we need 30%, don't we? So we're definitely going to have to seize it at least once more. Quite pleased that these are more balanced now, in any case. It's just our particular slice of the pie is not big enough for us not to have some serious drawbacks. So next steps, we'll probably, once we get 20% papal influence, I'm going to enact the papal emissary, which will allow us to gain more papal influence. So sacrificing a bit now in order to have more later. I think we've finished our coring, thank goodness. Would it be worth, sorry, just thinking, buildings? Would it be worth building another tax building up here? That seems to be the best place. I don't necessarily want to wait for the estates to build our tax buildings. simply because on our mission tree there is actually an option for build buildings. We need 5 churches and 5 workshops, so I think we should at least try to have that regardless of what the estates are doing. We don't have high income yet, of course, but that will happen on its own just as our technology improves. Could do with making another ally as well, actually. Papal State might be a good one. Good long way away. And improves their opinion of us, which means we will almost certainly never be excommunicated. Just seems appropriate for a Catholic country. Shame they're losing all their lands, but it's probably one of the reasons they accepted. Actually, if they're at war, are they going to drag us into a war? Nobody really matters. I think we're quite well protected. Right, so did that give us trustworthy allies? It did. Excellent. So that's improved our diplomatic reputation. It's got an option for acquire subjects. I don't think we're going to have that unless we work it out through the colonialism. Like maybe conquer some smaller nations over in the Americas or something, but we'll see. But it's not really a Portuguese thing. So Morocco, Marrakesh, Morocco. Well, they're still at war. That's the main thing. And they're not at war with us. So yeah, we're probably consolidating now. We're building the navy up to the limit, which is good. We want a powerful navy. We are recovering manpower very slowly. Got stability of +2, which is good. No immediately upcoming rebellions. These guys have appeared again, but they're only 0% towards an uprising, and they're only 7k in any case. So I think things are looking pretty good. I think we've dealt okay with the aftermath of the war. Hopefully are going to be able to hold on to these lands. It gives us something for our missionaries to do. And yeah, brilliant. So the only big problem is the administrative power hit. The fact that we're now rather behind in technology. We're also going to have to think about the Renaissance because we're on 8% penalty. That can go up to 50 if we're not embracing it. On the plus side, it is, well, it was originally in our country, but it is slowly spreading. I suppose we could look at trying to develop the provinces in order to get it to spread faster. I think in all likelihood, Castile will embrace it first, and then it will start spreading faster to us. I'd imagine Lisboa will get it first in our country, simply because they're the most developed. Porto's pretty high as well, though, actually. So, debatable. How's it actually going? Yeah, so the Papal State pretty much has it. Okay. Genoa, looks like they've actually got it, and Florence. Yeah, it's spreading. Venice. Slowly spreading across the world. But yeah, 8% isn't that big an issue just yet. I think we should be fine gaining technologies with these, so hopefully we can get national ideas next time. Get back to exploring, this time exploring out west, and hopefully get a colonist in good time. And we can start on the real business of being Portugal, which is colonising and repeating centuries-old mistakes. But yeah, I think that's probably it for this time. I hope that all made sense. And yeah, thanks for watching. I shall see you next time.